my friends. Hope you guys had a wonderful week. What a crazy week in the market that we had. There seemed to be a little bit of life starting to come back to the market, which is obviously a good thing. I've said repeatedly about how beat up some small and some mid caps are. Lots of them have lost 50 to 80% of their value over about the past 4 to 6 months. So as soon as that money starts rotating in from the large and the mega caps back towards small and mid caps, we could see some nice little runs going on. So hopefully today was the start, or really this past week or so is kind of started that. Obviously it kind of kicked off all with the Fed meeting, and pretty much everything came out and they said exactly what we thought was going to happen, raising the interest rates just a little bit. But for the most part, like Powell said, pretty much all that news and all that, all the price action was all priced in already. So then we pretty much saw the markets rip for the rest of the week. This video in particular, guys, is going to be about AMC. I will do a video over my Mullen trades and where I stand on that. I will also do a video over BBIG about a chart that I tweeted out last night, I believe it was. Sorry, this week is all blurred together. It's one of those weeks where it's just like, it felt like it took forever. Didn't get much sleep. It's just a crazy week. So this week's going to kind of be a little bit of a week in review. And then I'll make my usual probably Sunday video of my week overview as far as what I think might happen for AMC throughout the entire week. So before I jump into the charts, a couple of things as always. If you haven't already, please follow me on Twitter, Colin_Glab, and it's the easiest way to keep up with everything that I'm going to be doing and asking questions, things of that nature. Also, too, nothing that I say or nothing that I tweet is financial advice. I'm not here to make any buy or sell recommendations for you. I'm pretty much just trying to educate as many people as I can as far as the way I view the markets. That way you can become a better trader, because like I always say, at the end of the day, you are the one that is stuck with your portfolio and your decisions. So having said that, let's jump into the chart. The first thing I want to talk about is going to be a little bit of cycle stuff. So I am a believer in the cycle and the fractal aspect of things. It's not the only thing that I use, but there is no doubt in my mind you can 100% prove that AMC is playing out certain patterns kind of over and over and over and over again. I'm starting to see a bunch of people starting to act like we are in this January fractal right here. And the last cycle video I made, that's definitely the way I was tracking it a little bit, as you can see. However, this one that led to the January squeeze was pretty much an always sideways to upwards accumulation. So once we hit our spring at the very bottom, we had just kind of a nice steady uptrend from there, and you can clearly see that that is broken down. In that same video, the other place that I talked about where we might be is kind of a similar between the January and the June run up or gamma squeeze, however you want to look at it. And if you go look at this one right here, so one of the things I always like to do when it comes to looking at fractals is going, can I kind of recreate this thing? Okay, so this is what I was actually looking at last night, and you can tell that now this one to me is playing out a more similar shape than the January one. Now, when it comes to the fractals, guys, I always try to stress that not everything about them is ever going to be on a one-to-one basis. So it's not as simple as just, copying bars patterns or anything along those lines. Now, I use the bars patterns myself. However, you should use those purely as kind of a guide of what things might look like, and not like it's going to follow everything on those things candle for candle for candle. I always try to stress that, but people see them and they either get really mad or they think it's going to follow it exactly, and that's just not the case. So if we are playing out a similar June style run here, or a June style fractal, then I do think no matter what, we're going to see some upside here in the short term, near term, however you want to look at it. But as you can see right here, this June one, it ran all the way up and then kind of tumbled all the way back down. So the same equivalent of something like this would be, pretty much running up all the way up here to, around that $28 to $30 range, before coming all the way back down to, right around that 16 range. And obviously, that would be, pretty disappointing and upsetting for just about anybody involved in that. I'm not sure what that is. But here's the thing. Here's what you've always got to remember. We all know that, these hedge funds and everything like that, they employ, psychiatrists. And so if we spent all this time down here letting us run up to $28 to $30 before pulling us all the way back down to $15, $16, man, that would be demoralizing for a whole lot of people. I think a whole lot of people might, wind up selling at that point. I say a whole lot of people. There's going to be some people that sell. If we see an almost 100% run from where we're at right now, there's going to be some people that sell. Now, not everybody, but there are more people than just diamond-handed apes in this play, for sure. So, won't spend too much time on this. Might look at it a little bit more on the Sunday video, but this is kind of what I'm tracking right now, as we actually might be playing out something more like this than necessarily the January one. Now, obviously, the January one, of course, who wouldn't like that? But my biggest concern right now overall with AMC has been the volume. And so, having said that, let's go over here. I'm going to go to my other chart where I just kind of track everything on it. If you've been following my channel at all for any period of time, we have been tracking this, massive falling wedge for a while. The good news is, I said Amy would probably try to leave us on a cliffhanger this week, and that is exactly what was happening. I think I said in my video, I don't know, it was a couple videos ago, I thought a push to somewhere between 1550, 1650, right in that area is where we were going to finish out this week, and we finished at 1580. So I said either just breaking out of this wedge was going to be an option, or maybe even pushing all the way up to the bottom of our support that held for January the 24th, all the way until it really broke March 7th. So like a good 6 weeks worth of support. Now, the bad news is the volume is still just not great for a breakout like this. So that's why I'm not trusting it just yet. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that it has to happen, but this has been our resistance that we have been under, that I've been tracking since November 16th. Now, I've seen, like Rico and some of the other guys, they have it to where we are not breaking out of this wedge just yet. And that's fine. The cool thing about TA is you can pretty much, you can't just go, okay, here's a trend line. You can't just make it up. But at the same time, the cool thing about TA is it is open to different interpretations. And so that's why I always like to, see as many different, opinions as I possibly can. And because there's times where someone might come out with an idea and I'm like, oh, you know what? That's brilliant. I didn't pick up on that. Check mark, opportunity to learn. And then there's times where I'm like, that's ridiculous. But anyway, that's not what this video is about. But we have got a big downtrend since starting here on November 16th. Just for the past essentially 5 months, we have just been in free fall mode. So we are, the way I have this drawn, breaking out, and it definitely closed up above that. Now, that could mean, Monday or Tuesday, we kind of come back down in here. That'll largely depend on the overall market. AMC right now is tracking the overall market, guys. It's just, it is what it is. We would love to see AMC starting to diverge from, SPY and the overall market. But right now that is just not happening. When the overall market's doing well, AMC is doing well, and vice versa. For the most part, of course, there's those random days. Somebody was asking me, well, hasn't there been like one day where we didn't follow it? And the answer is yes. But we really need to see a trend on that. Just like to sit here and go, yay, we're out of the wedge, we're never going back. That would be foolish to say right now, because it's one day, we're out. We want to see it push up. Probably going to have to come back and retest, which is healthy, is what I would imagine this is going to look like is going to be something where we push up, then we hit our long-term support, or it was long-term support. Then that kicks us off. We come back and we test the top of the wedge. Then we push back up, and then we might have a little bit of rocking and rolling here before we come in. Then we get rejected. Then we come retest. Then maybe we break out. Then you got to retest here. So there's just stuff that's got to be done, guys. Okay, without crazy volume. Now, can all this happen quickly? Yes. Yes, it absolutely can. Once again, just like with the Mullen play this week, Mullen went up from the time I tweeted out that I was getting in and buying and everything like that. I think it was Thursday of last week. So in essentially 7 trading days, the thing moved freaking 200%. So if we move 200% from where we're at right now, we're going to be back up in the 40s or 50s. What would that be? 16, 32, yeah, 48. We'd be at $48. We'd be up here. And if that happens over the next week, I have been saying time and time and time again that I thought we were going to move and we were going to squeeze back up here in November. I still believe that. If we get this same type of setup, I would think a squeeze would be coming 10 out of 10 times. And I was wrong, okay? And it's okay to admit that you were wrong. But I said I didn't want to even remotely talk about another squeeze potential or all-time highs or anything like that until we start getting back up here and we start seeing a new sign of strength, okay? And that still holds true. And once again, it can still happen quickly, but it's not going to happen quickly. The reason Mullen moved 200% in 7 trading days, is that right? Yeah, give or take, 7 trading days, is there was insane volume going on. There was a lot of liquidity in the stock. So there's a lot of shares that were being traded. So that is what we need to see with AMC. We need to see some big volume days. Now, essentially, if you look right here, so this area, once again, people are kind of saying it's a little bit smaller version of this right here. Okay, and there's a lot of similarities. So we had the little gap up here, the gap up here, then the kind of M shape, then the tumble. So there's people saying, are we, essentially fractal wise, are we right here? Where it would be maybe on Monday we see another push up, then the kind of push down, and then by Friday of next week, we start moving up. That is a possibility, okay? But without some type of crazy catalyst or volume, I personally just don't believe that that is going to be the case as of right now. Now, just like I was wrong up here, would I love to be wrong on that? Absolutely, man. I've got my boarding pass ready. I'm ready to go with you guys anytime AMC is ready. But I just think that there's reasons to be cautiously optimistic, but let's keep it real at the same time, okay? So at the end of the day, what I would be looking for as of right now, like I said, is going to be hopefully this holds. We get a push up, then we'll probably get rejected, push back up, just like the path that I just drew out. But we need, you want, once again, you want moves like what we saw with Mullen. We need the volume, period. That's why I harp on it so very much. Now, as far as our EMAs are concerned, we are almost getting back to where we can get the 20 EMA. I've said about the 100 and the 200 that it would pretty much follow my big resistance line, and that big resistance line is from our all-time high. It is doing that exactly. So recovering some of the EMAs, let's also pull up, take a look at the Bollinger Bands. Do I really not have those up here? Okay. So on the Bollinger Bands, we want to see a period of low volume, low volatility, and they kind of got tight, then they widened here a little bit. So even this next week, if we saw these start to tighten again, once again, you can see this is why I was a big believer. We were above the EMAs, the Bollinger Bands were getting tight. We just didn't get the volume, okay? So that's what I'm going to be looking for there. I like the consolidation on low volume that's going on. No, it's not exciting. No, it's not, 20% days or anything along those lines, but it's a good thing. The more consolidation we have in this area, the more this is going to become harder and harder and harder to break and bust through. The visible range right here. Once again, this is why I made the case for, for this $10 area. As you can see, that would bring us down to the bottom of the rising wedge, but it does not have to. Okay, so once again, going down to $10 is going to be some of my more, bearish case scenarios. However, if the market continues to improve and recover, we start seeing some nice bounce backs, then, $10 isn't even going to be on the table, in my opinion. Okay, once again, not without some type of crazy news or catalyst or anything along those lines. But we've got Adam Aaron out here, tweeting cryptic tweets. We've got him out here buying gold mines. Still kind of crazy to me, but I trust him. I do. I know lots of people, he's a shield, he made money off me, and all this other kind of stuff. And that's fine. You're more than welcome to your opinion. But I don't agree with that. I trust him. I think he's doing the best that he can. Once again, his job is not to squeeze AMC stock. His job is to shore up the fundamentals of the business. So AMC is a company that is around for a long time. And I think that's what he's doing, in my opinion. So overall, I do believe that there's good things coming. I mean, I've said, back in here time and time again, I think we'll look back and everybody will feel like they should have loaded the boat more here. But the reality is even if you didn't load the boat at 13, or even if you didn't catch any of this at 12.90, it's just not that. You're talking about 1 to 2 points or anything like that. If it does start to come down here to 11 or 12 or anything along those lines. So as far as I'm concerned, I'm a believer in this play long term. So if they give me more time and allow me to make more money to accumulate more shares, that's good. All right. Y'all have a wonderful weekend. I'm going to try to get some sleep, and then I'll put a whole bunch of more videos together. Once again, I'll do one on Mullen, do one on BBIG, and then I really kind of want to dive into the chart just a little bit more, and we'll get a weekly outlook going for AMC. Y'all be good. Be nice. It's not hard. Be nice.